Let me turn to you, Mr. De Silva. No, I know I got that wrong.
Figueiredo and De Silva are going to be hard for that.
Yeah,
Silva's easier.
I should have spent last night studying the pronunciations rather than my.
Well,
my
it's
notes.
Fi, gay, and I know you're a very big LGBT supporter, so Fi, gay, Redo.
I am, in fact.
I know.
A big supporter
I
of
know.
LGBTQ
Yes.
rights. Thank you very much for noting that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Figueiredo, close enough?
Good job.
I have a few simple questions. Would appreciate simple answers, and I know the chairman would like to get us out of here by noon, so maybe we can expedite this. Can we agree, you and I, that the 1964 to 1985 military government was an anti-democratic regime responsible for killing hundreds of political opponents?
It depends. You can't compare what was happening in 1968, as Professor here can better explain, to what was happening, for example, in 1979. When my grandfather was president, for example, he already got in power with the AI-5, which was a very undemocratic act. It was not in place anymore. First thing that he did was to give amnesty to political prisoners. We had free speech. We had the Supreme Court working. I'm trying to answer your question.
So you disagree that the military government was an anti-democratic regime?
Well, it's a nuanced answer, like I just said. Part of it, yes. Part of it, no.
Okay. Do you agree that they killed hundreds of political opponents?
Some of them, yes, and some of them in the guerrilla as well.
Okay.
But I don't think that's the purpose of what we're talking about here. This is not a hearing about the history of Brazil. It's about what's happening now.
Okay, so let's move on. Do you believe that the 2022 elections, and by the way, history does dictate what a democracy looks like, as I noted in my opening remarks. So history is very, very relevant.
Yeah.
Do you believe, sir, that the 2022 elections were in fact free and fair?
I do not.
Do you believe that the Brazilian armed forces then should have acted to support President Bolsonaro's draft decree?
Who? I'm sorry?
President Bolsonaro's. Do you believe that the Brazilian armed forces should have acted to overturn the 2022 election results?
I do not.
Okay, so even though you don't believe them to have been fair and free, you don't believe that the armed forces, you believe they properly acted in not acting to overturn those results?
Madam Congresswoman, are you familiar with the report of the military on the elections of Brazil?
I am, yes, but...
So what do you think they should have done when they realized that Brazilian elections was...
It's simple. Do you believe that the armed forces acted appropriately?
I do not.
And let me just read a few statements by former President Bolsonaro's. And let's just see if we can agree or disagree on this. These are quotes. Elections won't change anything in this country. It will only change on the day that we break out in civil war here and do the job that the military regime did not do, killing 30,000. If some innocent people die, that's fine. In every war, innocent people die. Agree or disagree with that statement?
That statement is from 1994, and I completely disagree with it. And
You're very familiar with the statement. Yes, he made it as a member of Congress, but then years later as a presidential candidate.
So I disagree.
He refused to disavow that statement. Well, so you agree or disagree with that?
I completely disagree with that statement.
Okay. And then he went on to say, I have three alternatives for my future: being arrested, killed, or victory. Do you agree or disagree with that statement at the time that he made it?
Well, I think he has a very high chance of being arrested, but I disagree with this statement as well.
And do you see that as an acknowledgement that he might lose the 2022 election, his statement?
I think he expressed his distrust on the electoral system since the beginning.
A esquerda avança. E o que você tem feito? Eles têm estratégias, ideologias, o controle da mídia, das universidades, das escolas, do mercado financeiro. E nós? Será que vamos resistir passivamente? Eles estão em todos os lugares. nas escolas, nos filmes, nas redes sociais, e eles querem silenciar você. Não é hora de recuar, é hora de se armar com conhecimento. Eles estão moldando o futuro. Que mundo que você quer deixar para os seus filhos e netos? Chega de ser vítima. Você pode se blindar, e eu vou te mostrar como. 10 módulos, uma imersão na guerra cultural que estamos vivendo. Uma chance de lutar de volta. Eu estou convocando você. Esse é o chamado para os verdadeiros patriotas. Não for por você, que seja pelo Brasil. A esquerda não descansa, e nem nós. A tempestade está aqui, e é hora de se preparar para a guerra. Não é um simples curso, é um chamado à resistência. Conhecimento é a sua arma. Carregue-a agora.
In 2018, then presidential candidate Bolsonaro called Colonel Ustra a national hero. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I don't have enough information to answer that question.
Okay. And in office, he reinstated commemorations of the 1964 military coup and openly celebrated the military dictatorship. Agree or disagree with that?
Agree.
Action? Thank you.
It was a counter coup against a communist coup. So yes, we did not want a communist to be part of Brazil as it was in Cuba and other countries. But I do not agree with the route that several leaders in Brazil took for many, many years. And I come from a family that has been fighting for democracy for a long time. And that's the legacy of my grandfather, restoring full democracy in Brazil. So I'm very supportive of that.
I appreciate your family's efforts at restoring democracy and upholding democracy. And just because you have pointed out earlier on one of my particular interests, I wanted to bring to your attention public remarks that I'm sure you have heard the former president say attacking the LGBTQ community. One example being that he stated he could never love any of his children if they were gay. Do you find such comments harmful to marginalized communities in Brazil and ultimately to a Brazilian democracy?
Well, I don't agree with these remarks, but I'm not here to defend President Bolsonaro. I'm here to defend free speech.
Okay, I'm not asking you to. My question is,
with all due respect,
let me
this
finish
is
my
not
question.
a inquisition of
But it's a hearing
former
about
president.
democracy, and I just want to know whether the witness believes that those kinds of statements are supportive of a democracy.
I don't think they're nice statements,
I
but
don't
I
think
think they're
the witness
protected.
needs to answer that. I think we've veered so far away from the purpose of this. I mean, I could talk about skepticism for elections. In my first election, 2,000 dead people voted against me. It was engineered by the Democrats in the city of Trenton. When I tried to get the officials to look into it, and we verified it had happened, they would not do it. We got the verification that it happened, but there was no effort to hold people to account. Okay, you just move on. There is a healthy skepticism that we should all have. Matter of fact, my opponent went into court to keep the city of Trenton open beyond the time limit because it was raining out, and the fear was some people might not be able to make it to the polls. They were going to count how many people they needed in order to defeat me. Now, I learned from it. I became friends with a lot of people. The county clerk told us, do you ever wonder why you never got the A ballot position? Because they used to refrigerate the ball. He would put his hand in, pull out the A position, and the Democrats would get the A position each and every year. And a similar type of effort was lodged against me with people who were dead voting. That said, I still believe in the system. I still believe that we need to have a healthy skepticism. I have a healthy skepticism. I voted to ensure that Biden was made the president during the Electoral College. Why? Because we could not prove, or the administration could not prove that it had been falsified. But there was all kinds of mistakes made, and I also had to look back at my own experience, but you got to be able to prove it. But that said, you move on. This hearing is not a relitigation of January 6th or January 8th, despite some efforts to cloud over this issue of freedom of expression being violated with impunity. So we're going to keep a focus on that. Lulu does not have a right, nor does the Supreme Court justice in Brazil, to violate people's free speech rights, which are universally recognized. And as you pointed out, Mr. Schlesinger, in your statement, the Constitution couldn't be clearer. That's what this is about. So any other thought, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Really is a distraction in a very real way. Again, so I would ask, and I am going to honestly continue pushing very hard to ensure that free speech rights, which are universally recognized, are recognized by Brazil.
Você sente isso? A censura, a perseguição, o medo que se espalha como uma sombra sobre as nossas vidas? O fim da América, do Brasil e do mundo como conhecemos já está em andamento. Eu avisei. E enquanto muitos fechavam os olhos, o caos que eu avisei que viria começou a se desenrolar diante de nós, mais rápido e mais devastadoramente do que a maioria acreditou. Quando eu lancei o fim da América e do mundo como conhecemos, muitos duvidaram e houve até os que zombaram. A América, que já foi um farol de esperança e liberdade, agora afunda em uma decadência absurda. E como o pilar está destruído, todo mundo sente a queda. Conflitos militares reacendendo, ataques terroristas, nações em crise. E o Brasil não está imune. Perseguição ao ex-presidente Bolsonaro, a censura, a prisão de manifestantes e o expurgo dos patriotas. Tudo isso é apenas o primeiro episódio de uma longa série de terror e caos social em todo o mundo. Eu avisei. Com todas as forças eu gritei sobre o que estava por vir. Fui perseguido, cancelado, demitido e censurado. Mas eu continuo aqui. Eu não vou recuar. Eu estou aqui para te preparar para o que ainda está por vir. A tempestade que se aproxima é devastadora, mas juntos podemos resistir. Podemos ser um farol em um mar de escuridão. O fim da América e do mundo como conhecemos não é apenas o maior curso de política atual já ministrado no Brasil, é também o seu manual de sobrevivência em meio ao caos. Quem já acessou, está preparado. Quem se formou, sabe o que está por vir e já está reagindo.